Welcome to today's podcast. We're going live as always across LinkedIn with our audio event for you to join us, and we're recording it so you can see this later, which is what you're probably watching right now. The subject for today is, what if your plans don't work out and you have to give up on your dreams? What can you do to fix it, get back on track, and reevaluate what your roadmap should be? We'll be throwing that out to our team and our panel and our various guests throughout the next hour or so, and see what they have to join and contribute on that concept, and we'll probably get distracted into lots of other stuff as usual. And apart from that, it's just good to see you. Welcome to our wonderful event. It's our LinkedIn Live, and it's always great to have you here on our Speak on Stage events. And here we are, hopefully broadcasting live across the entire universe, which means anybody who wants to come and join us can do. And if you've just joined us, then it's a pleasure to have you with us as well. I'm joined, as always, by our wonderful Aziza Crane, who may speak today. I hope she's in the mood for speaking. She's a bit better today about speaking. Hello, Aziza. Nothing. Oh, well, all that good work's done. No, nothing. And Debbie Gray, who's had a week she won't tell me about. I don't know why, but it's all a bit secret. Debbie, are you there?
Hi, all good. And yes, Aziza did pipe up now to say hi to everyone. I just think you didn't hear it, Dave.
No, I don't. I've actually got it wired in so I can switch off when she starts nagging me. And it must have gotten over. The wires must have been crossed at that point. So there we go. Good to see Joanne. Good to see Hope joining us in the group as well. As always, what we try and do is make sure we get as many people as possible to join us on this particular podcast. So if we just take a few moments, it sounds like a religious thing, take a few moments to just think about our week. No, what we need to do is just take a few moments to basically just share with everybody that we're going live. The easiest way to do that is to go to the post that you're on, and it's got a button you can click to say share, and just say we are live, come and join us in the podcast. We only do this for an hour. It is recorded as always, but I'd like to make sure that we get as many people as possible, because what we got last time was literally the last 5 minutes of a session. It was like everybody arriving from out of nowhere going, oh, look, there's stuff going on, let's join in. We had to say, no, you have to go. Hello to Nick as well. So if everyone can just quickly share that we're going live, and then we can start today's podcast as soon as we possibly can. It's been quite an eventful week. It's been quite an eventful last 12 hours. As always, we won't be talking about anything political. We'll just be talking about things that help people to be able to grow who they are, where they are, and what they really want from life. Today's all about, not even so much about grit. It's more about the ability to shift who you are, what you do, and get more out of your immediate circumstances. Because I'm a real believer that most people end up chasing their own tails or chasing the wrong things based on what other people tell them they should be looking for. And I realize as I'm telling you this, it sounds like I'm one of those people, but I really want to be able to share with you some thoughts that I think will release a lot of people from doing stuff that could take them 20 years before they turn around and go, you know what, that was a really bad idea. Where did it come from? Why did I do it? And they won't say it was Dave, because hopefully if I listen to today's podcast, they'll be able to turn around and say it's completely different. So hello to Simonetta joining us as well. As I just said, Simonetta, if possible, if you can just let people know that we're going live, and then we can start the session as soon as possible. Hope, I will say, as always, we love having you on the podcast. And if you have got challenges with your internet, all you need to do is just type in your comments into the comment section, and Aziza or Debbie will read it out for you. And I'll be able to answer you straight away. That's probably the fastest way to do it, rather than being able to hear the coffee shop or whatever noise is going on in the background as per usual sometimes. And Taco, good to see you as well. So today's session is really about recalibrating where you need to be. What I'll do to start this off, I know people kind of arrive as we go, is I'll share with you my thoughts on it. And then from there, if you want to make any comments, you can do. As usual, the rules are simple. If you want to make a comment and join us on stage, there is a button for being able to put your hand up to join us on stage. I let almost everybody come up, but when they start talking rubbish, I have to go goodbye. It's like a trap door button to press. You just got that move to listening, and you press it and they disappear, and then they sue you, which is never good. We don't really. But what we love to have is about a minute maximum of your introduction, your question, and then waiting for feedback. because we only have an hour to do this. I've spent 4 minutes talking already, which is a real sin, but it's kind of gets us to where we really need to be. Hello to Terry as well for joining us on today's podcast. So the new people have just joined us. Welcome to our gang. It is a gang. We meet every Sunday, not like hanging around the bike sheds when you're a kid, but we do try and share enough stuff to be able to help people who watch us live or catch a podcast later on about the given subject. But it's always open to you to share more. If you have a certain subject you have a challenge with or you want to talk about, we can do that as well. So I'm going to start off by going straight to the heart of this. What if your plans don't work out and you have to give up your dreams? And I'll share with you a little insider's thing. Today, I was running this question. In fact, I was working on something else through ChatGPT. I know how ChatGPT used to have all the plugins. So if you wanted to go to YouTube, there's a plugin for YouTube or PDFs and all of that. I think today it stopped using other plugins and has integrated everything. So it's a living, breathing entity on its own. If that doesn't scare you, it should do. But it was very efficient for getting stuff done today. I'm just sharing that. So here's what I suggest about if your plans aren't working out and you have to give up your dreams. Hello to Istak, I'm not sure, I always get it wrong. Istak has just joined us too. First thing, 7 things. Assess the situation, take a step back to gain a fresh perspective of where you are and what you do, because sometimes what you've been planning on and working on has got lots of opportunities that will get you in a different direction or even the same direction by a different route. Number 2, leverage your network. You never know who can actually get you there faster. You don't have to do the entire journey alone. And so it sometimes helps to reach out to people, get their insights, get their suggestions, but even at the very least, get their support. Because you do need to have somebody with you or people with you who are there just to hold your hand sometimes when things get a little bit difficult. Number 3, adjust your goals, reevaluate and setting new ones. It doesn't mean that to get to the end of a line, you have to go down a certain route. Maybe when you look at it, you didn't actually need that thing. Like, for instance, when people talk about, well, what's your ambition? Well, I want to become a millionaire or a billionaire. Why? Well, because I've got credit card debt. Well, why don't you just get rid of your credit card debt? What do you mean? Well, the problem is you haven't got any money because you're always paying off your credit card. But if you paid that off, do you earn good money? Well, pretty much. Could you earn more? Well, a little bit if I've got a side hustle. So you don't need to be a millionaire. All you need to do is pay for your credit card and get a side hustle. Then you'll have more than enough to be able to live your life without all the extra stress of joining the millionaire club. You see what I'm talking about there? So adjusting your goals, sometimes when they're clear and attainable, they're very different from the ones that you think you're actually after. Number 4, embrace your creativity. And use that opportunity to explore different and unconventional ways that you might not have thought of before. Sometimes the easiest way to make money is actually just to reach out to your network and say, who wants something and who's looking for something? And then you just connect the two with a commission for connecting the two. And suddenly before you know it, you get paid. And certainly if you're a life coach and you're wanting to sell a Tony Robbins course, you don't have to build a Tony Robbins course. You can become an affiliate salesperson for a Tony Robbins style life coaching course and get paid commission when people buy it from you. You see what I'm talking about there? Okay. Number 5 is play to your strengths. What is it you do really, 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 really well? Concentrate on that. If you have to learn new skills that aren't really your skills, then you might end up being average and upset. But if you lean into what you do really, really well and let other people support you or even just hire out or buy in those services, then you will find that you do really, really well. What I do best is I speak a lot. So I speak a lot in lots of different formats. What I don't do very well is my accounts. So my wife does my accounts. She hates it, but she looks after a lot of systems that she's brilliant at doing. So it's partnering with the right people and playing to what you do really well. Number 6, create a structured plan. Break it down into steps. Write it down in 7 steps you can get from A to Z in almost everything. Work out what they are. Get support. Go online. Get AI to help you with those steps. And then reevaluate. Work out where you are and then see who you need to get in or what the resources you're going to need at each step to get to where you need to be. Once you've got that, you've got focus and direction. You're not just hoping it's going to fall into place. And finally, just basically stay resilient. Number 7, get grit. Have a positive outlook. Make sure that you keep moving every day. Realize that all the challenges are your stepping stones. They help you grow. And if it was easy to do, everybody would have it. It's not always about getting there. Sometimes the journey is really good as well. and the journey is actually the reward. So there's 7 steps that get it out there and out of the way. If your plans don't work out and you have to give up on your dreams, then maybe you need to reevaluate all those different things. Does that make sense? Anybody want to comment? Debbie, you sent a love sign in public. My wife's good to see it as well. What are your thoughts on that?
I think those are absolutely brilliant, but I would actually like to add 2 points.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. When you say assess the situation and take a step back, I would actually add, from my point of view, breathe.
What was that to me when I was talking, or just generally?
No. As in, when something happens, you obviously, people get triggered, they get emotional, it's like flight or fright situation. Just breathe. That would be the first thing that I would say if things happen and your plans don't work out. Second thing I would add to that is don't act in haste. And if you're feeling emotional and you're feeling really triggered by everything, just don't act. Just sit in your hands, be calm, wait until your mind is at a level place that you can think constructively again. But yeah, otherwise I agree with all your points.
Thank you so much. It's true about taking a step back. And when I studied emotional intelligence as a thing, I studied it under a group called 6 Seconds. And what they say is, in 6 seconds, you're able to calm down and then make a proper decision. So if you're really angry about something, count to 6, and then you'll find that you're in a different space. And then you can make a decision based on what you really want to do, as opposed to when you're really angry. Because what happens is when you're really angry or really stressed or really worried or really flushed, you end up making a decision which would be the same as, I don't mean offense to anybody when I say this, you make an autistic style decision. So what happens with autism is you have an inability to understand the difference between emotions being involved in a decision or no emotions. So there's a test, and this is something that comes up from Malcolm Gladwell reading his books on Blink and also Tipping Point and stuff like that. They did a test to see about autism. And one of the things that came from it was they put a laser focus on a laser pointer on the top of a baseball cap, and they showed a really dramatic scene on a screen for a young man to watch. And so whatever he looked at with people arguing and fighting and crying could show you what he was focused on because of a laser. And the laser pointer, when people were crying and shouting at each other, it was an old film, it would go to lamp, it would go to wall, it would go to face, it would go to chair. So completely oblivious of the actual drama that was going on. So why am I sharing this before I open up to the floor? Let me show you exactly where it comes from, and you can read more about this with Malcolm Gladwell's incredible stuff. He talked about the fact that when Rodney King was attacked by the LA police, the black guy, and the police attacked him and all the rest of them, they weren't sure whether he was going for a gun or his wallet or maybe for other reasons they attacked him. But they also realized that what happens is if you're involved in some high-speed pursuit, you go autistic to a degree because that nervousness that you get, that stress that you feel, means you don't make rational decisions. You go into fight or flight mode, which is just to get you out of danger. And so one of the things they decided was for LA police, I'm not sure if it's LA police, it's one of the counties in the US anyway, they said to the policeman, you cannot do high-speed pursuits. We will monitor where the person is and we'll make sure somebody else gets to them, but you stay within the speed limits. So you don't end up egging each other on and getting really worked up. And the other thing is they made people go into single car patrols. So you didn't get wound up by your partner saying, go left, go right. You had to call into the station and somebody would talk you through the situation. And it really cut down the amount of accidents and the amount of dangers that reach people. So as you said, and it's a roundabout way of reinforcing it, Debbie, you do not get into the best position for making those decisions when you're really wound up. You need to step to one side and deal with it differently. I hope that makes sense to everybody in the group.
No, that was brilliant. It sounds like an experiment that's worth researching more.
It is. It's worth reading the books by Malcolm Gladwell, who's a genius, and then one day I will podcast him. Oh, yes. Good to Aditya, by the way, and Torben as well, and Tamara. Aditya, I've got to give a shout out. He's one of our game changers, and he's been asked to host big events now. And I'm so proud of him. He's a legend and a hero. And I was saying to him 2 years ago, get yourself on stages. He was like, I'll just do it when I feel like it. And now he feels like it. So he's being recognized and asked to host lots of stuff. So congratulations to Aditya in our group there. Make sure you connect with him online and become his new buddy. And maybe, just maybe, he'll give you an autograph as well. Opening up the floor. Anybody got any questions? Big subject today. You can share your thoughts, your hopes, your ideas. And Debbie, do you want to jump in while we're waiting for people to put their hands up?
I just wanted to add congratulations to Aditya because, yeah, he's gone from strength to strength. Well done. So happy and glad to be part of your group.
That's so true. In fact, Aditya, you should join us on stage because you never come and talk at these sessions. He's probably doing something. He's probably in the gym, or he's in some palace now with all his newfound friends. He doesn't talk to us. Oh no, he's going to join us. Wonderful.
Yeah, no, we've managed to taunt him enough.
Yeah,
Welcome, Aditya.
all right, Aditya, you're now being invited on the stage. You have to unmute. And how are you, sir?
I'm very well, thanks, Dave. Debbie, thanks for the shout out. Yeah, it's been a very long, slow, I would say, journey, but I think the program that you've been running, Dave and Aziza, and the people I've met, Debbie, Cristiano, I met a lot of these people in the Game Changer session that have sort of kept me going, and I think in everything in life, I guess consistency finally gets you there. So I'm really glad because actually I have now reached a situation where people are reaching out, and my first opportunity is to actually be a conductor of a cybersecurity forum, which sounds a bit strange, but it's not the master of ceremony or actually running the program, but it's actually guiding the audience through the various forums and add a little bit of business interests based on my experience. So I think it's a little bit of a unique role that I'm trying to play. Dave's shoes are way too big, but I'm definitely inspired by what you've done in the past, and I've seen you on stage, and I'm going to give it my best shot this coming Tuesday. So let's hope from there it just goes from strength to strength. And yeah, I've been sort of preparing for the event, taking into advisement all the various sessions that I've attended in the Game Changers Forum. And yeah, it's a kickoff finally to be standing alone on stage and talking and engaging with the audience more so.
Amazing. I'm so proud of you. And one of the things is, I mean, you know your subject really well, so you being in charge of a cybersecurity event doesn't surprise me whatsoever. Remember, I know nothing about cybersecurity, and I've been hosting JISEC now for what, five years or so? It's not just about what you know, it's your ability to create a relationship with the audience. And you are very good at doing that, plus also you know the subject, so you're going to be fantastic at doing this.
Well, thanks a lot. I mean, I'm really hoping that this one is a game changer for me and for the course itself. I mean, it's to get there, and finally, I think what matters is you have to put yourself out there for people to really see what your potential is. And unless you do that, I think Dave, you've been saying this all along, and I've been thinking about and deliberating on it. But when I got this opportunity, I said, why not? I mean, it can't get any worse, so let's just do it and see how it goes.
Fantastic. And one of the things about it when you put yourself out there is you might think that there's lots of other people who can do a job same as you, who have the same knowledge, the same connections and same experience. And you might think that there's other people who can speak better than you, but how many of them are putting themselves out there and doing it? If they were doing it, then they'd fill that slot and it'd be much harder for you to jump in, but they don't. Which is why I say to everybody in the group, and I said to you, I say to many people, just jump and grow wings on the way down. Because once you're in that position, unless you turn around and insult everybody and get massively offended to everybody, you'll be there next year and the year after if that's what you want to have, which is why I love the fact you've stepped into that position. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. It does, and I think it is crucial. It gives you even the preparation itself, and I'm sure that you've done so many events, even events which are out of your realm. But I think one sort of guidance I've got through the various game changer sessions is that it's all about preparation. It's all about connecting with the audience. It's about understanding and bringing together, what the organizers are expecting out of that event. Is how to make the event more lively and more successful, and be of interest for everyone. So I think I was getting trickle feedback from a lot of the forums that I was moderating. And obviously, when you go through this preparation stage, it also expands your own ability to be able to understand, the various nuances of public speaking, what you could be focused on, what storyline that you want to engage the audience with. And it's trying to sort of break the ice with everyone and being able to sort of engage at a very personal level with individuals there. So I think I'm really looking forward to the event on Tuesday.
I love it. One thing I'll say, as always, and you and I hopefully will have a chance to catch up, have a chat before you go on stage. Get some video footage. Why? Because otherwise, there's no proof that you were doing it, and it means that you can open up other events when we see that you've done that, and you say, "Oh, this is what I did last time." We go, "Great, fantastic. Let's get you on this one." It's all about building up that reputation, that relationship. Debbie, over to you. You wanted to make some comments.
I just wanted to say congratulations, Aditya. I think you are going to be amazing. You're the perfect man for the job. And I would just like to say that part of your preparations was me interviewing you for our podcast. So, yeah, that is my claim to fame.
Look,
What I did for a celebrity.
he's gone quiet.
Thanks a lot.
He's talking to his lawyer to say whether he's going to admit that or not. But what is true is we've made a point, and we do it in this group as well, but we do it with our extended groups and the Game Changers, and also with our Turbocharge Your Career 5-day challenge people. We're about getting everybody across the finishing line, but you can only help those who step up. There's loads of people who want to do stuff but don't do anything about it. Well, you can't. You can. Sounds the wrong thing. You can take a horse to water, but you can't make it drink. I'm not calling everybody a horse, but you can't. You can't make people do stuff that they don't want to do. But those who do, we've got a community of people, and there's a proof. Just like Aditya's just shared with you, he's now going on stages. Now that could be international stages, but here's the thing: you never know who it is that's in the audience that's going to turn around and say, "That was excellent. Can we have a chat afterwards? I'd like you to work with my company, or I'd like to set something up with you, or I'd like for you to mentor me." Every time you stand on a stage, there is a $sign above your head. But you have to prove that you know what you're talking about. And what you're talking about doesn't have to be that you know the subject that you're talking about on stage really well. What you need to talk about is a proof that you are genuine. And when you are genuine, people will then talk to you and find out what it is that you know afterwards. So it's a position of prominence. It's the ability to be there. Whenever people used to go on the Oprah Winfrey show, and I've met a few people who've been on the Oprah Winfrey show, they said the key to it is not to go on and talk about your book. Now, Oprah Winfrey's not been on for about 10 years or so, but you can easily find her reruns. And she was probably the most successful talk show host of all time, making about $4 billion for her show. And they said, when you go on Oprah Winfrey, don't talk about your book. Talk about the book that you've got coming up next, even if you haven't written it yet, because you might only get one go at doing this, but you want to make sure that people follow up with you and see what else is in the pipeline. And so that's why it's so important to have a call to action on stage just by being there. And at the very least, you say, "Come and join me on LinkedIn." At the very worst, at the very best, you turn around and say, "If anybody wants to chat to me about the stuff that you do, I can help you, then let's talk during a coffee break." And I guarantee it's going to make so many doors open up. We've got our new book coming out soon, which is the Thought Leaders Playbook. I'll tell you more about that in the next week or so. But that will just add to this whole process. When you go on stage and you're an author and you say to people, "Check out my new book," a lot of people will see you and position you as being excellent at what you do. They'll either buy the book, or they'll just want to connect with you because it's clear that you're able to turn around and put your stuff in writing that you talk about. Now, Aditya, I happen to know, is an expert writer and author, albeit of horror books. And I'm not going to put you on the spot, Aditya, apart from, yes, I am going to put you on the spot. When's your book coming out?
I'm going to target for 2024 for the collection of stories.
It is 2024. It's 2020
Yeah, it is
now.
in motion and work is in progress. So I'm now speeding up from my last commitment I made in December.
Wonderful. Well, I'm really proud of you for doing that. And so when you say that, I'm going to hold you to the fire one more time. When you say I'm moving up, how far are you with the book? Now you've got a room full of people saying, go on, tell us it's almost finished already, it's got to print. And if you're going to say, well, it's on the back of the napkin.
No, it's a collection of 25 short stories. 19 are already in progress. I'm fine tuning the drafts of them. I've started done doing the outline for the rest of them. Once all 25 are done, I'm going to put them up for editor's review.
Excellent. I can't wait to find out more about that. Do one about cybersecurity and AI, because that means you can sell it at your gigs.
Yeah, I mean, and that's something I will definitely look at because I'm also doing a lot more reading up and a lot more trainings on the AI side of things. So yeah, I will look at cybersecurity definitely gets affected heavily by AI, as is the other areas of IT. But I think I will look at collaborating. I've had an opportunity for collaboration with somebody who's already a writer. And I think this is what you spoke about, Dave, during the Game Changers, that we don't really know, who can provide you that opportunity, and unless you're out there, people wouldn't know that you actually have the potential to do it. So, I'm in conversation with that person to see what value I can add. I'm also getting discussions on co-authoring with other individuals, which I think is a good starting point in certain areas as well for me.
Definitely. Well, it's fantastic. I'm going
Can I just add in there?
to
Sorry.
go.
So I think everything Aditya's just said runs perfectly with the theme of today of what would you do, how would you diversify. He's basically explained options that he would do to make sure that he does reach his end goal. I love it. Absolutely love it. Wish you all the best, Aditya.
Very good. I love the way you tied it in, Debbie, to bring us back on track again. It's always like my wife slapping my hand and saying, Dave, yeah, stop warbling on. You're wandering on about something else. Get back on track. Here's the thing, and it's again leading into what we're talking about. One day it'll be all over. Until then, you're on an adventure to see what you can get out of life and enjoy every single day and help as many people as you can and dare yourself to be uncomfortable. And I think it's really important that we do that. We don't learn anything from being comfortable. We actually shut down and we just go, okay, I'm not going to take any risks. If you're constantly used to being uncomfortable, then your brain starts looking for better ways of making stuff happen and you achieve a lot more. And I think it's really important to remember that. And writing a book, standing on a stage, going for a side hustle business, talking to people who wouldn't normally talk to you, these are things that make a huge difference. Now, I've got a podcast with Dov Barron coming up this weekend. It's actually coming up on Tuesday. I'm going to broadcast it live on LinkedIn. It's one of the best podcasts I've ever been experienced to be in. Dov is a genius. You get a chance to connect with him as well. But the stuff that we talk about is just off the charts. The conversations that we have in here. And this guy's the number one podcaster on the Dov Barron show for Fortune 500 companies anywhere on the planet. He's the number one podcast show. So he's going to be sharing some great stuff to do with this. Now, I'm going to open up the floor to everybody who's there, who's got a microphone that works and good internet. If you'd like to ask any questions or you'd like to make any comments or come and join us, then please do. If you've got a comment you want to share, if you don't want to speak on stage but you'd like to put it into the comment section, then please do that and the girls will let me know that it's there and we can answer it as well. As always, this is about a chance for us to bond and brainstorm, but it might be something that's been going on with the stuff that we talked about. Has anybody there considered writing a book and hasn't got around to doing it yet? Or anybody who's thinking, well, I wouldn't know where to start? We will do a session on books at some point in the future, especially when I launch mine out there. But it's certainly something that I know most people turn around and say, I've got a book, how I'm going to get it out there. And I remember talking to my own mentor, a guy called Jeff Smith, who's a very successful best-selling author. And I said, I've got a book. And he said, what is it? I said, it's called How to Speak on Stage. And he said, who's it for? I said, CEOs and people who I talk to and train to become speakers. And he said, what's it do? I said, it teaches them everything you need to know about being a speaker. I said, right, like what? I said, well, how to start a business about it, how to get booked to do stages, all the stuff, how to make it run for your business. And he said, right, CEOs, is that your target audience? I said, yes. They said, why do they want to learn to speak? I said, well, because it would make them better because they're really rubbish at speaking. And he said, well, why would they want to do that? They don't want to do that. They want to be CEOs. They don't want a book about the business of speaking. They want a book that just gets them there faster. And I went, oh, actually, you're right. My entire idea about how the book should work was completely wrong. So I had to then reinvent it and think about creating a different book. Now, I share this with you because, as you guys know, I'm pretty good at the stuff that I do. But the book that you think everybody would want might not be the book that everybody actually does want. And at the end of the day, writing something to position yourself as an expert, but also open up doors to an audience is very important with that. Now, Takwa Malik has just joined us on stage. We've not talked to you for ages. How are you, Takwa?
Hi, Dave. So nice to be here. Eid Mubarak to everyone. And it's just lovely to join you guys again.
It's great to have you here. Have I said your name properly? I probably ask this every time.
Yes, you did. It's Taqwa. Thank you.
Excellent. So what are your thoughts then?
Of course, everything that you, Debbie, Aditya, and everyone shared is quite insightful, and I'm learning a lot. Now, I want to add that that question, what if your plans don't work? And I will stop right here. I will not continue, and I will just omit the second part, and you have to give up your dreams, because I won't, and I would never do. I will never give up on those. I'm currently in a stage where I'm completely out of my comfort zone, putting myself out there, showing up on stages and in ways that I'm very unused to, but it's very rewarding, and it's coming up to be a very beautiful experience and a really lovely journey of learning, experimenting, and developing. With my upcoming podcast, I learned that it's not what happens in my mind and what I'm thinking about that could be the most suitable thing to the market. It's actually what the market tells me, what the audience are telling me. And that resonates so much with the concept that I'm very happy that I learned from my mentor, Daniel Priestley, is sharpen up in the market, not in your mind. That shift and the ability to listen and to curate your offerings, your servicings, your thoughts, your pitch to what the market is expecting and asking and needing is a big winning factor. And this is exactly what is going to be the beautiful change happening now to everything that I'm doing, and add that philosophy of incorporating culture, mindset, thoughts, and ways of deep communication with the Middle East, and give people the opportunity to learn more from someone who's been here in this part of the world since birth. And I think I have quite a few stories to share, and I've already got the validation for those. So now I know that Plan B is working, because I got the hints and signals that, yes, this is something that we want to hear about. Last but not least, yes, I am in the stage of drafting my book. It is now in the second draft, getting ready. It's going to be something that is quite conversational, full of experiences, stories, and I really hope it gets some good level of acceptance when I launch it within 2024, aiming to Q4. And that's it from my end. It's beautiful to see how experimenting new things would be a way of really making yourself better and opening new opportunities you never thought of. Thank you, Dave.
Love it. Thank you so much for sharing that. I'm a big fan of Dan Priestley, and hopefully we'll be getting onto our podcast in the near future. We're chatting to his people. My people are talking to his people, and we hope to be able to bring his incredible thoughts about KPIs and so on to the LinkedIn audience, and maybe even get him on the show in the future. Debs, you wanted to share something on this?
No, I thought that was absolutely brilliant. Completely agree with what you're saying. However, I just wanted to add, I don't think any of us are actually talking about giving up on our dreams. It's how to diversify to find another route to our dreams, which is the same thing that you are saying. You keep being shown different ways. So we're just saying not to see it as a full stop. It's not the brick wall. It's just to diversify and find alternative means to still achieve, but at a pace and a way that is comfortable in the situation or the challenge that you're in.
I love that. That's completely true. Here's the thing that I'll share with you guys as well, because I kind of semi-retired, and it sounds ridiculous. I was thinking about it the other day, but when my dreams were to be on MTV, be a big radio and TV star, and work with all the big pop stars. And I grew up wanting to do that when I was 13, 14 years old. I was based in the UK, listening to Radio 1, which is the number one radio station at that time in the UK. And we always used to have a summer road show where the DJs would get a chance to go out in front of a live audience in a seaside town, get the latest pop stars on stage to play their songs, and it was just like the best opportunity to prove how good you are at doing stuff. So I'd always wanted to do that, and I got a chance to do that when I came to Dubai. In fact, I did a little bit of it in the UK, but not enough. I did that in Dubai, and I ticked all the boxes, and I kind of like, that was my dreams. And then I met my dream woman, which was Aziza, and we had a gorgeous daughter, and I had a life which was wonderful. And I kind of realized I'd ticked all the boxes on my dreams, which were that I'd met somebody, started a family, I'd been as big as I wanted to be in radio and TV, and I stopped doing it. I didn't get to MTV, but I was on MTV a couple of times as a guest. And so my dreams kind of stopped. And then I carried on for about another 8 or so years, just doing corporate events and teaching people to speak and doing the big gigs. And that was fine. And then when the pandemic came along, it wiped out all my gigs completely, to a point where for 2 years, Aziz and I are pulling our hair out going, how do we survive? She was a wedding photographer, award-winning. I was a speaker at big events, and there were no events. And one of the things that happened as a direct result of coming out of the other side of a pandemic is my dream machine woke up again. And when I started getting back into gigs, I thought, you know what? You used to have massive ambitions, and you kind of went into semi-retirement in your 30s, 40s because you'd achieved everything. What if you could go much higher now with all the experience that you put into the tank? What if you really went for it like you did in your 20s and 30s? And so I'm finding now that there's a ton of dreams that I wanted, but they've shifted into a different version. But it's also done with fun because I've got all the things I want from a family. This is just about seeing, well, where can I take this? So the book, the podcast, doing stuff like this to share as much as I can with people. It's a different dream, but it's also very, very cool. So if you don't get everything that you're asking for, sometimes you realize you're asking for something completely different. And you'd be surprised how many of the things are actually there right in front of you, but you didn't realize that they had actually arrived because you're looking for something that looks different. So what I'd say with that is keep moving. Always challenge yourself. Be uncomfortable. I do get bored very quickly with stuff, so I've got to keep bringing new stuff out and challenging myself. In fact, the challenge that I have, and this might resonate with other people in the group, is I'm a brilliant starter of creative ideas, but a terrible finisher. So I'll get it, I'm really excited, I want to do it, but then the finishing off it is just, oh, please. So for instance, finishing off a book, working with the typesetter and the editor, and saying, can you put that word there and put a full stop on that page? That's been killing me to do. It's not what I enjoy doing. I enjoy writing it and leaving it and letting somebody else do it. I know that people like Richard Branson, Steve Jobs, and other people who we look at as all these incredible creative people only came up with the ideas. Somebody else did all the other stuff. So if financially you can afford to have another team that takes care of the ideas after that, do it. But otherwise, don't think that you've missed out on something because you've kind of got to a point where you've hit a brick wall. There's other walls, there's other opportunities. So stay flexible with it. I hope that resonates with people. Does that make sense to anybody in the panel or anybody in the audience? If you just joined us, by the way, we've got 20 minutes left of the show. We only do about an hour every Sunday. So if you want to join us on stage, put your hand up and we'll come and join you. Or partner with somebody who's a finisher. See, one of the things is Aziza is a real stickler for systems. And she and I fall out all the time because I don't want to finish stuff off. And she says, but there's a checklist. Why don't you work your way through it? And the ability to interview people, put out a podcast, write a newsletter, put it onto LinkedIn, and also do the social media is because she put together a system that I follow. Because I would never do that because the wind is blowing in a different direction tomorrow and I might not be into doing it. So working with somebody who does systems, or even better, if you're on your own, get ChatGPT to put a system together for you that you can actually work on, and then you get stuff done, get your roadmap done like that. Any questions from the audience? Any comments from our people on stage about that? Does that resonate to anybody about taking an early retirement when you tick all the boxes, but then thinking, ooh, there's more, I can do more?
Well, hey, I'm looking forward to taking an early retirement. But no, I just wanted to agree. I strongly believe in collaborations, in delegating, and pretty much just having those partnerships that work, because we all know what our strengths are. We know what our weaknesses are. It's easy enough to get a system in play where you can find somebody that can do what you can't, and it can be the perfect partnership.
I agree with you, and that's a perfect way to do it. I mean, one of the things is I've been a loner for most of my life. I love working on my own. I love my own company, but I also realized that the pandemic took it to the worst possible levels where I knew loads of people, but I don't really know them. I'm not really close to them, which is why I created this podcast and why we created the Game Changers and the Industry Icon community and all the rest of it, because you need to do stuff that makes you uncomfortable to be able to grow. And I hope that with doing this session every week, we're able to help people to find challenges and solutions that maybe they hadn't come through before, or even just connect with the community. One of the things about having the people in this particular group, and a lot of the same faces come back, which I really, really love. It shows that we're doing a great job of connecting and helping each other to be able to get to where they need to be, is the fact that you're not alone. And some people get to a finishing line and go, ha, I've done it. And they go, oh, is that it? One of the things I have mentioned on many occasions, I certainly mentioned it the last couple of weeks, is when I was listening to one of the podcasts of Stephen Bartlett, he was interviewing somebody who said that most of our heroes weren't actually heroic. They just were focused. And so while they're achieving incredible stuff in Olympics or in a product or making money, they did it to the detriment of their relationships, of their friends, or their family, or their health. And so to get to that level, they've usually done it by dumping all the stuff that most of us won't dump. Does that make them heroes? Well, we look up at them and say, what a great achievement. But they're probably saying, maybe I didn't after all. So don't be surprised if you find that you've ticked off your boxes and done a lot more than some of your big heroes could do. Debbie, do you want to jump in on that?
100%. Strange enough, this week I was following this amazing mountaineer, Saray Kumalo. I hope I've said the name right. And she was basically making her attempt to be the first Black African woman to do the North Pole, having already done the South Pole. So that would have been both poles. However, due to weather conditions and situations out of her control, after being working for this for so long, the trip had to be cancelled on the day that they were meant to fly out because the runway, which is made of ice, cracked and couldn't be repaired for another 10 to 12 days, which then takes them into weather that is not passable to get to the North Pole. She obviously was devastated, or not that I've spoken to her, but we were all devastated for her. However, her plan is to try again next year. So that also falls in line with your not giving up, just diversifying. And things are often out of our control, but we have to trust that there is a bigger picture.
Definitely. And I'm not a great believer in fate. I think you create your own luck and you do your own stuff. But I also think that the way to fill in that gap is between now and then, she's got an amazing opportunity to rethink exactly how she did it before or wanted to do it before and see what she can do to add to it, knowing that she got to that point where she was ready to go. And if she'd done the trip, what would she have missed out on? Because technology is different in a year's time. People are different in a year's time. The world is very different in a year's time. What can she add to that? And I guarantee that when you ask yourself those questions, you end up going, I'm so glad I'm getting it now. I'm so glad. I mean, one of the things is when I dropped out of being a DJ, I used to be one of the best known DJs in the UAE and on the radio and so on. When I stopped being a DJ, I wanted to become a stage hypnotist. Why? Because it was an entertainer. and because I would get paid the same money as a DJ for doing an hour's work. And so I went away and studied and did all the stuff. That ended up with me becoming a motivational speaker, because when you do a stage hypnosis show, first thing you do is talk to the audience about, what hypnosis is like, and you get people to come up on stage. And I found one company turned around to me and said, Dave, we don't want you to do the stage hypnosis show, but that bit at the beginning of a show when you talk about how your mind works, can you come and do that to my company? I said, well, will you pay me the same money? And they said, yes. I went, ooh, hello. So then I started doing those things as a motivational speaker. I also created a number of different products based on the stage show without actually doing the show. And for those of you who have looked at, say, what I did over Christmas, I can still pull the show out of a bag and do it at any given point. Did it take me to where I wanted it to? Yeah, I did a world tour and I did all the rest of it. I mean, I kind of put it to bed after 10 years, but none of it's wasted. So sometimes things can challenge you and you think, oh, that didn't go the way I wanted it to. You'd be surprised how many other spin-offs are there if you look at it, not least to look around at the people who are in your audience or people who are watching who haven't connected with you. You'd be surprised how many turn around and say, I love what that was. Can we work together? Or can you show me how to do it? Or can I pass you on to somebody who I know is looking for that kind of thing? Just keep an open mind. You'll be surprised how many other things are there as well. I'm going to throw a question up to the audience, right? Which is, what would you like us to talk about next week? Because what happens is, I look at the podcast interviews that I do, and I say, right, what was the big subject that we looked at? And the big subjects I'm going to be talking about with Dov Byron, I won't spoil them for you because you're going to have to watch a podcast yourself, is about authoritarians. Why it is that people are given the job of being the leader of a company when everything they do is nasty to your average person, and to many people, and why is it that we should stay uncomfortable because we get the best results, and why is it we need to reinvent ourselves on a regular basis? Dov places this brilliantly, but that's what I normally ask about. So what I want to say is, what would you say is a question that you'd want to cover for next week's podcast? If you want to put your hand up and join us on stage and say about that, or just type it into the comments section, then I'd love to be able to see that, and then we can get you involved in it too. Take your time. Yeah, I'll take your time and not say anything. Okay, so when we talk about an accountability partner, one of the best ones you can have is a mentor. Why? Because somebody who's been there, seen it, done it, got the t-shirt, can then guide you on the way. And a lot of people say, what's the difference between a trainer and a coach and a mentor? I'm going to share that with you right now. So a trainer is normally somebody that does a brain dump. Everything that's in their head, everything that you need to get from a course, they will go bang and drop it into your head and you sort it out. And it's basically you work out from once you've dumped all that stuff on the course or in a room or whatever it is, you work out what your roadmap should be from there. A coach, their job is to ask you questions, so then you start making neural pathways, which means that because you came up with an idea as an answer to their question, you feel natural ownership of it, and that starts to grow like a plant. So not saying you've got like a bonsai tree in your head, but effectively you have. So the ideas that come from these incredible coaching sessions, you go, oh, that's who I need to be, where I need to go. But you also feel that you come up with it yourself. So that's where you want to be. A mentor, which is more of what I do, is I basically have done the stuff that you want to do beforehand. So I stick in my lane, writing books or speaking on stages or doing big events or getting booked for gigs or growing your celebrity status. And I show people how to do that. And I think that those things that I'm in are the things that people really need to consider to be able to get out of the mindset of I've been to school, I've got my degree, I've got a job, but I'm unhappy, to be in a position where you turn around and say, oh my goodness, this is working out really well now because everyone recognizes I'm excellent at doing that. My colleagues at work might not appreciate it, but suddenly I'm getting job offers or suddenly I'm getting more opportunities because people can see my natural talents coming through. So that's what I do. And I hope that sort of helps everyone understand the difference between trainers, mentors, and coaches. Does that resonate with everybody? I know we've got a room full of coaches in some cases. So a mentor has tools and tricks, techniques, insights that you would never know until you actually go ahead and do it yourself. You go, oh yeah, that's brilliant. I never thought of that. And that's why you end up choosing a mentor. So having an accountability partner on your journey is really important, not least because sometimes a mentor's job is to turn around and say, don't do that. But it's my dream. No, trust me, I've been there. It's rubbish. Do it this way. It will work out even better. Really? Yes, it will. And you either listen to them or you don't listen to them. I find that if people are uncoachable or people don't really pay attention to the stuff I'm doing, I can't work with them. And I'm sure that's true for many of the coaches in the room. You can tell people stuff and you can help them. Because what happens afterwards is if they don't get the results that they wanted and they ignored you, they blame you. It's like, what? But I told you not to do that. Yeah, but anyway, just a few thoughts on that. So, what would you like us to cover for next week? What would you want us to go through? If you have a subject for that you want us to go through, then put it into the comments section. And in the 10 minutes or so we've got, everyone's been really quiet in the group. Joanne normally pops up unless she's eating or painting or fighting with her tenants in her castle that she's got in Ireland somewhere. She's never invited us to it. I don't know why. Maybe it's just a private castle. Anybody want to come and join us on stage, ask a question, or contribute to the different things that we're talking about here? I can say certainly that when Taka was talking about the stuff of Daniel Priestley's KPI, Key People of Influence, is a really great system to start learning about how you position yourself as a thought leader and the importance of getting it all to come together. This is something I've been looking at and doing for a very long time as well. I think that for everybody in the group, especially those who show up on a regular basis, one of the things that puts people off is to start thinking, maybe I'm not good enough. Maybe people won't be interested in my ideas. But the fact is, if you're doing it and you can prove it's good and you can monetize it, the odds are you'll find an audience waiting to jump out and work with you. But you've got to do that research first. Don't just put it out there and go, right, why isn't it not making money? Because it might be something that people actually need, but they don't want. And if they don't want it, but they need it, then you're not onto a business model. Let me give you an example. How many people would like to dress up like Iron Man and fly around the world? Yay, everybody could do with it. But do they want to? Well, maybe they don't want to. Do they need it? Well, maybe not as well. So you've got to choose something that people are actually demanding. And often that's one step above what they already have. Anyway, so Joanne, how are you? Good to see you.
Hey, good morning, everybody. How's it going, Dave?
So far, it's always good. Here's the thing. We end up talking, or I end up talking a lot. I get really excited and answer all the comments and all the stuff. And then round about 5 past, once we've done 65 minutes, then everyone says, me, I want to talk. And it's like, well, I can't now. You've missed the opportunity. That's why I say to people early, come and join us. How's your week been?
Great. Really, really great. I had a great week. Despite last week on your call, I had desperate migraines for 3 days solid.
Because of the
setbacks.
Was it me that caused it? I'll stop talking.
No, not at all, not at all. It's a woman thing, Dave. I don't know if you'd understand. The women would.
Okay. Say no more.
But a couple of setbacks during the week. The husband was in hospital. He just got home. He's actually in bed there now at the moment. Recovering, kidney stones. I'll say no more. It's like they say, it's like going through labour for the men. That's the closest they'll get to know what labour is like. But other than that, it's just really, really great conversation that you're having today about setbacks and plan Bs and all the rest, because I really felt that I had that this week. And I think what really stood out for me is your very first point: assess the situation, like step back and have a bird's eye view of what's going on and what is it that I can do in this situation. And for me, like when the migraines came, I was like a bulldog. I was like, I have to get this work done. I'm speaking on a global event now on the 20th of April and I have to get stuff ready for it. I have to do this, I have to do that. And I said, you know what? Close the laptop. Just don't engage in anything. Just rest and relax and do what I need to do to recover. This is just part of the process. Drink plenty of water, do the usual stuff, get plenty of fresh air, and just be okay with what's going on at the moment. And then you can get back into the game after that. So that's kind of what I had to do. I had to accept where I was and then get back into the game when I was ready to. So yeah, it's just very interesting.
That's really good insight. I was watching over the weekend a football documentary on Netflix, which is called Together Treble Winners, which is all about Manchester City. And I'm not a Manchester City fan. Pep Guardiola is probably the best football manager on the planet. And it was about how they managed to win the treble, which I find fascinating because I like the football, I like the players, and seeing what the ups and downs were at one of the top clubs on the planet ever. And it was all ups and downs, things going right, things going wrong. And what he did, which was really fascinating, was he didn't shout at his players. He encouraged them all the time, which is what made him brilliant. But one thing I wanted to share with what you just said there, because it was inspired by another comment by a guy called Steven Gerrard, who used to be the big player at Liverpool in England, really, really smart, talented guy. He said what people don't know about footballers is at their best, they're about 70% fit. You've always got an injury, you've always got a knock, you've always got something that you're nursing and getting treatment for. When you see a player getting on the stage, getting on this pitch and starting a game, it's usually because he's 70% fit. And that's something that most people don't realize. Forget football, start thinking about your own business, your own experiences. It might be that you're not ready to go up there, but you still should throw yourself in just to see. One of the things that I do every day is I go for a walk every day. So I go for a power walk, about 45 minutes around the block at speed, which for me is about as fast as a snail, but I still do it. And the point is, and I was reading about it, if you miss a session, then that's okay. You don't bully yourself about it. If you miss a second session, get your act together. If you miss a third session, you won't go back. So second session is the most you should miss. Then you get yourself back in the gym or back into whatever you're doing and make sure you keep the thing going. So have that in whatever industry you're in. You can miss 2 sessions, but after that, it becomes a habit for you to miss it. And that's why you shouldn't do it. Does that make sense, Joanne?
That is so true, absolutely true. And something a mentor told me a long time ago about that, what you said, like when you don't, like on the third attempt, because it's all routine, it's all habitual, and like you have to keep doing it routinely because the brain will just adapt to, you know, you sitting back and doing nothing. But it's really, what you just said there about the second time and the third time is so true, just to be aware of that. There's something else I'd love to say, Dave, actually, just in terms of when you were speaking about the brain and the neuroplasticity and the habit forming and what have you. You were talking about self-control. Oh, you were talking about the autistic decisions. That's what you were talking about. And I was like, oh, that's a great way of putting it. Because this fight or flight, and when the brain goes into this primitive state, you know, when it comes to making decisions, and we make very impulsive decisions. But when we don't get a good night of sleep, Dave, the conscious part of our brain is shut down as well. You know, we lose a certain amount of self-control to get back into the game, and we can take the back seat. So when you don't get a good night of sleep, all this wiring in the brain is affected as well and impacted, like really when it comes to making decisions and, you know, conscious and making intentions, you know, because creating intention is a great thing to do, you know, when to be successful. Anyway, I just thought I'd mention that as well in relation to sleep.
Thank you. You're absolutely right. I've been forcing myself to appreciate sleep a lot more. We've got a 2-week break for my daughter to have been off school. She goes back to school tomorrow, and I've been using it because I don't have to get up early to make sure she's ready to go to school. I can just have an extra hour, and what a difference that makes! Oh my goodness, I feel guilty sleeping in an extra hour, but how good do I feel because of that? And so yeah, I'm taking that on board, and that's been a big thing I've learned from you. Just you talking about the fact it's important to be able to dream and program and all the rest of it. I'm programming my dreams from YouTube before I go to sleep. I have a look at YouTube, choose a subject I want to have a dream about, and I put it on, watch a few, maybe 5 minutes of it, and then I go off to sleep. And I'm in that dream, I'm in that situation, and it's amazing when you get good at harnessing your dreams, the things that can come from it are quite spectacular. We've only got a few minutes left in this session. Debbie?
Sorry, can I just quickly interject? Yeah. Dave, we all know that you're obsessed with zombies.
No, not always. Superheroes and zombies, please. Carry on.
Okay, all right. So when you were watching these YouTube videos to go to sleep to, would any of them be along those lines?
Sometimes, but I'll tell you something that's really fascinating. I'm sure that Joanne will be able to... In fact, it might be something that Joanne hasn't come across before. When I used to have nightmares as a kid, and I had nightmares nightmares as a kid, that sounded really creepy. Nightmares as a kid, because when I was really young, my parents used to watch on a Saturday, they used to have a thing called Hammer House of Horror on BBC Two, where they'd show a black and white movie, a horror movie, followed by a colour movie, so it like be, you know, Dracula and then Son of Dracula later on. And because I wasn't allowed to stay up and watch them, I would listen through the floorboards. We had carpet, but I could hear the noise of the show. It was like listening to a radio play without the visuals. And so I'd end up getting scared and having nightmares about it. And I said to my dad, I get nightmares all about these movies. Can I see them? And he said, no, you can't, because it's past your bedtime. But he gave me a technique that was really fascinating. Joanne, I want to give this to you and get your comments on it. I don't know if you've used it before. I said, well, I'm getting these zombie dreams and vampire dreams where I'm getting chased about by all these monsters and they're trying to kill me. And he said, well, here's the thing. Your dream is run by you. It's your dream. It's your brain. It's your choice. What about if you then stop the dream, go back in and become a zombie or become a werewolf or become a vampire, because then you become their friend and they're not after you anymore. I thought, can you do that? So I started doing it. I started having dreams where I was able to go in as one of those characters. And it's amazing the conversations you have, not with a zombie, but basically it changes the whole game about nightmares and you start enjoying a completely different experience. So I'm throwing that out there. I probably sounded completely weird by saying it. Joanne?
You're absolutely right. Yeah, no, you're absolutely right, because and look, all our dreams and stuff comes from our subconscious, right? And when you were saying that you didn't actually watch the movie, but you heard the sounds, because music and sounds has frequency, and we know the difference between a nice, relaxing sound and a horror type of a sound. So we know the difference without having to watch the picture on the screen. But you're right, though, your dream is run by you, and it's your subconscious, and it's the meaning that you create around what it is that you're experiencing. So rewrite the script, reframe the meaning, and you can actually write the ending of that dream and rehearse it out, and then it's not a threat, so you're not going to have a nightmare about it. So yeah, absolutely, 100%.
There you go. And share that with your kids, by the way. If any of you got kids that are getting scared to go to sleep at night and they need the light on and all that kind of stuff because they're having horrible dreams, get them to come back as a character that's working with a serial killer. So they're a serial killer. I know it's not a great example, but what happens is, it's a dream at the end of the day. It's just their subconscious mind reworking what's happened during the day and trying to put it into some kind of language that they'll understand. But they don't have to be petrified of sleeping. They can embrace it and enjoy it and program it, and then it becomes a really interesting thing. And we could talk at length about how you interpret dreams, but that's a whole new story that I know Joanne will want to jump in front and center. How to interpret your dreams and also work out what it was all about. But we don't have time to do that in today's session. Everyone's going, Dave, do it. No, I'm not going to do it. I don't have time. It's a real shame. But we can have that as a future session. I wonder if that's going to make people go, oh, I've got to know. Or people going, la, 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 la. I'm pretending it's not happening. It's wrong. It's sent to me by something special. No, it's not. It's your mind. That's always the case. Any thoughts from the audience? Last chance to be sharing your ideas, your insights, or we're kind of going to put it to bed. We've done an hour of the show, and it's always been a pleasure, and it's always been fun. Anybody from the audience? Last time, it's good to see you there, by the way. We are here every Sunday, unless I'm traveling, in which case we do it usually on a Friday. And we've got Hope, I'm not going to put you on. It's going to take us 5 minutes to work out whether we can hear you properly or not. Put a comment in the comment section, my friend, and we'll happily read it out. But I know that you sometimes get internet challenges, my friend, but we really love having you in the group. And there we go. Sounds like I'm being harsh. Trust me, listen to the old podcasts and you'll know that I'm not being horrible. And he's a lovely guy. He's a really smart guy as well. Today's broadcast, by the way, gets recorded, and I will be putting it into, the link will be in this group in the next couple of hours as I render it and put it onto YouTube, so you can listen to it and watch my silly faces that I pull during the entire session. All the old ones were there as well. I think I called them Speakeasy or something like that. Anyway, and also please leave a comment in the comment section, because it really does help us to get more people to come and join us in the sessions when they see that you got some value. So don't just disappear. Put a comment about what you liked about the session, what it was good for, and how you'd recommend other people to join us in the future. I really do appreciate that as well. There are links, and I'm not sure if we've had them copied into the comment section, but if you go into the details section of today's broadcast, you can see all the links to join the Game Changers, where I will be leaving the link to the podcast a little later on. That's our Game Changers. Game Changers is our online community. I'll talk about that more at length next week. But in our Turbocharge Your Career 5-day challenge, which is a free WhatsApp group. We always share the podcast details in there. There's about 400 decision makers from all across the world, millionaires, success stories. There's royalty in there. There's students. There's a whole mixed bag of amazing people from around the world who join in with our incredible challenges that we throw at them every single month. And you're very welcome to join that. The details are in the session, in the details of this session, and you can see all that. So what I'm going to do is go through our wonderful, gorgeous, and talented guests on stage. And if you just joined us, which I know some people have, we're just about to close the group. What time do you call this? We go live at 1 o'clock Dubai time every Sunday. And then we kind of put the whole thing to bed a little later on. But it's great having you here. We'd love you to join us next time. But there will be details about this podcast in the comment section. In about 2-3 hours, you can hear what you missed out on. So thank you very much for being here. So let's go through our group on stage and get their final comments or thoughts. I'm going to start off with Takwa. Takwa, you joined us and told us a ton about Daniel Priestley and your plans, your book, your podcast. I'm very excited to know more about that. How was today's session for you? Or is there any insights that you want to leave as your last thoughts?
Very insightful. I love how everyone has added a ton of value, and everyone has been commenting and sharing their experiences and lessons, and it's just wonderful to be in a stage and in a place where I'm exploring new concepts and learning new things. It's always something with a great interest. Thank you so much, Dave, for setting this all up, and I wish everyone a great, wonderful Sunday.
Thank you so much. It's always a pleasure when you join us and share your insights. Aditya, you're going to be on stage next week, next Tuesday, and you're going to find that loads of people throw themselves at you. Give me your autograph. We want to give you a hickey. No, the rest. How's today's session for you, my friend?
Yeah, I think it's been very useful. I would say that the pursuit of new experiences and learning is probably the best way you can have your plans, plan A, plan B, plan C, and I think it really is what keeps you energized and going ahead. We don't need to really sort of let go of our dreams when we are working towards something, but yeah, I mean, keep that in the horizon and keep working at it. And I was really impressed with Joanne's inputs. I saw she's a sleep success coach. It's an area that I've been working on to improve and get a good sleep. That's something that's quite challenging as well. But I think overall it's been a brilliant session. As always, Dave, you bring the most interesting topics and make them even better at the session.
Oh, I love it. I love it when you say that. Thank you so much. It's so kind of you. One thing I will say before you disappear, and it's just an honest comment. I've been talking about you getting to where you are now for quite some time, and you joined our Game Changers, and you've seen the support in it, and you can see the results now of what I've been talking about. I'm not just making it up. It really works, doesn't it?
Yes, it most certainly does, and I think even though we all have different pace of how we grow or how we achieve what we want to achieve, I think it's that consistency that helps you to get where you want to be, and I think that's what I've learned most about being part of Game Changers for the last few years.
Fantastic. Well, it was a pleasure having you here, and we've got some big things coming. We'll tell you about them as we go. Aditya, thank you for joining us on this Sunday. Joanne, you're up next. How are you, Joanne? Did you enjoy today's session? It's typical. You come on stage, you share about 5 minutes of stuff, and everyone loves you more than me. Stop stealing my podcast, woman.
Don't be jealous, Dave. We all love you. You're the best. I loved. Do you know what I love? I love when everyone throws a little bit of snippet of their expertise or their experience into the mix, and it just makes it real human, and real, and just adding to the whole theme of your conversation. But in terms of you asked about a topic for a future event, I think a fantastic one would be something around how to envisage your future when you talk about dreaming and all that, right? Because it's not just sleep and dreaming, but it's the imagination. Napoleon Hill says imagination is the most marvelous, miraculous thing that we can have. So imagination is something that many people don't, or some people say I can't imagine, I can't visualize. But I think that's a really important part of our success as well. So there you go. That's just an idea for a future show. But over and out, fantastic day today again.
That's amazing, Joanne. I've got so much to talk about on that subject. I won't spoil it, but I do program people's dreams before they go to bed. But that's a whole new can of worms, which we'll
There
discuss
you
in a
go.
future session. But thank you for joining us today. Always appreciated. Aziza, do you want to say anything? Do you want to say hi? You've enjoyed today's session, I think, haven't you?
Yeah, I know I don't speak a lot, but if you don't know, we have a little WhatsApp group between myself, Dave, and Debbie, and I've just been typing today what to say and stuff like that. So I hope everybody's enjoyed well, every little 1 hour mentoring session, I can say, because you've got a lot of experts on stage telling you, advising you, and pushing you on how to be better for your career, yourself, and come and join us and tell everybody about it.
There you go. And if you're wondering about telling Dave what to say, think of Pinocchio and Jiminy Cricket. Imagine Jiminy Cricket was from Singapore and she was telling you everything you should and shouldn't say. That's my
No.
Yes, it is. It is a bit. I was going to
No.
say, what's that other movie with your emotions, with emotions that talk to you?
What?
What's that one? What's it called?
Psycho?
Not Psycho. What's it called? That movie, Pixar Disney movie, where there's happy, there's angry.
Oh, I don't know. Yeah, that one.
What's it called?
I can't remember.
You got
It's an animated one.
Not Seven Dwarfs.
Shut up! No, it's not. What is it called? Somebody write it into a comment.
Inside Out. Inside Out.
Inside Out. Thank goodness. Right. Imagine that my wife was one of the characters in Inside Out and she's keeping me on track. That would be the character. But I realize I've got myself into deep water by not being able to establish exactly what I mean. So I'm going to just instead go, thank you, Aziza, for your contribution, as always. And yes, let's go for lunch. Debbie, before we finish off today's session, rescue me. How was it for you?
Well, yeah, I mean, I'm so glad that Aziza did mention our little WhatsApp group, because you normally find when there's like long pauses, it's because we're confused as to what the conversation that has gone on off air applies to what's going on here. So thank you for explaining when we come out with topics that probably have nothing in line with what the previous person has said. However, Aziza, we love you so, so much. You are the perfect puppet master.
Oh my goodness.
Today, woo, today has been great. I mean, let's face it, we all have our dreams. We all have hit challenges at some stage, and it really is about using what we know and using those experiences to basically accelerate and leverage us going up to the next level and still achieving what it is that we're striving for. So yes, thank you. I loved everybody's input. As always, Joanne, love you loads. Why do you come just at the end? So yeah, didn't have enough time to share any banter with Joanne today, but looking forward to next week. So hope everybody has a fabulous week in the meantime, and that you take one small step, even if it's a minute step, towards achieving something that you really aspire to and that you really desire.
There you go. Fantastic. Thank you, Debbie. And you always say, Joanne, we don't talk enough. During this session, you do. It's just like we're bystanders watching your conversations and your girl bonding. But anyway, we love it. And it's fantastic to have you guys in the group. Let me just share with you one thing before we do actually finish. It sounds a bit sinister when we say we've got a WhatsApp group going on. The reason we have a WhatsApp group, and anybody who organizes events, or whether you do them online or in person, the reason you have it is because it's called a back door or a green room. And what happens is you can then work out who's up next, who's going to do stuff and so on, without it having to be said in public. So if you're running an online event, or if you're speaking on a stage, then you should have a WhatsApp group with all the speakers in, all the sound and light guys in. So therefore, you don't have to necessarily put it out in front of everybody. You can just work behind the scenes to make sure you've got a smooth flow in what you do. So it's not sinister, but if you read the stuff that I was reading, then you'd probably jump off a cliff, because my wife and Debbie say really bad things about you are just bad people.
No.
I believe I'm not walking into traffic. I'm joking. They're lovely. I just thought I'd say it like that.
No, we don't.
I know you don't. You say lovely stuff.
No, we don't. But Let me just explain why this is important. If you are hosting a webinar or a live show, you need someone on the tech end to be have a helicopter view of what's going on, you know, because you are already you're already focusing on what to say, so you don't know what goes on behind. Like if you need this, your mic's gone too soft, or the speaker's gone too long, or anything. You need someone behind to go, Dave, or say Debbie or Joanne, go right, put the speaker out, talk more, do this, do that. So that for the audience's view, it looks like a very smooth show, but behind the scenes, this is exactly what happens. It's not about about, you know, saying bad things about other people. No, we don't do that.
No, we don't do that.
We just talk bad about
sorry.
us. No, we just talk bad about ourselves.
It really is technical support, but yeah, it normally involves at some stage that we're laughing at one another.
Yeah.
So yeah, no. Sorry if it implied, but yeah, it really is technical support, necessary technical support, and telling us to wind it in.
Not one another. It's Dave. It's Dave, Hunchback, girl power. He won't shut up. Why doesn't he ask another question? In the real world, it's stage manager, show caller, or producer. That would be the role that, or director even, that'd be the role that we find Aziza takes in our WhatsApp group. So you've got a better insight about what goes on. With that being said, thank you all for your amazing contribution, and you got to see what happens behind the scenes. If you want to watch me get embarrassed during the point where everyone's revealing their secrets, you can watch the podcast. It's a visual thing where I just put up the screen of the people who are speaking, even though it's an audio thing, but you get a chance to catch up with that in about an hour, maybe about 3 hours time it should be up. Meanwhile, I will also put in the 7 points I made about what if your plans don't work out and you have to give up on your dreams, which was a bit of a tester to see what your reactions would be, because that's what we do. We've got a great podcast coming up with Dov Barron, and we've got some amazing stuff coming up in the next week or so. If you want to reach out to us directly, feel free to do that and connect with everybody who's involved in the podcast. The beautiful thing about it is you get to know who they really are, and you can cross-reference it with their profiles and see who's up to speed with their profiles, so you know and you like and you trust them, and then you can do business with them, or at least reach out and have a brand new connection who's got your back. Right, have an amazing Sunday. As always, my phrase is jump and grow wings on the way down. And I think having the group on stage that we have, it's a blessing to have such amazing people who are in the audience listening to us. Sometimes they come on stage. Sometimes when we do come on stage, they share insights. And I learn so much. And it makes my life much better from the fact that I just sit down in my office, open up LinkedIn, and some amazing people share their time with me. And I can't thank you enough for that. Without you, it doesn't work. And so with that, have an amazing week. Catch up with you soon. Lots of love. And remember, whatever you do, don't be scared to speak on stage. Talk to you soon. Goodbye.